Yeah.
And what Josh and I have found in the ed tech industry, it's relationships that are actually going to help us open those doors. We can have the best product. We're military men. We definitely know we're respectable individuals and and honorable individuals, but without those individuals who can help us get into those rooms that we cannot access, we're just another company.
Yeah, honestly, so speaking of reading books, I used to read and still do read a lot of books, right? And one of my favorite books.
Crazy, because you ain't on our.
Wait, that's nuts.
He hasn't
actually.
downloaded the app.
Not
Is that
even.
crazy?
Wow.
So I could
Three
have
of us
sworn I
have it.
downloaded. So you
I
might.
have.
He said I
No,
downloaded
three.
something else.
You
Yeah.
might want to
I'm
send
totally
me
just
that
messing with you.
that link so I
Do
could
you
download
ever
it.
foresee y'all incorporating podcasts? I'm more of a podcast listener.
Oh yeah,
That's on the
I
way.
mean, we have
Okay.
podcasts basically through the audio room.
Yeah, you can
so,
create
yeah.
your own podcast
Yeah,
through a
that's
Nook.
kind of how it works.
So you can do that now, but I
There's
think I know
opportunity
what you're
there.
saying.
Yeah.
And speaking code, yes, it's
Yeah.
coming.
So I mean, there's a book. I believe it's called like The Power of How to Win. Well, there's How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's
Classic.
one.
By Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie. The magic of thinking big.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of the best books that I've read. It's top 5 at least. And in that book, it just really talked about how successful people, they go to conferences, they network a lot. And so ever since I've read that book, in addition to a variety of other books, I've really just kind of embraced the process of networking, building a network, and shaking hands and building my LinkedIn. I started building my LinkedIn ever since I was in college, and like I never looked back. So I think for me that's what really has inspired me to network and shake those hands and build the community.
Well, those relationships are what actually helps you go to different places, especially at our early stages.
Yeah.
And what Josh and I have found in the ed tech industry, it's relationships that are actually going to help us open those doors. We can have the best product. We're military men. We definitely know we're respectable individuals and and honorable individuals, but without those individuals who can help us get into those rooms that we cannot access, we're just another company knocking on their door.
Yeah,
100%.
gatekeepers. You gotta know who's gonna open the doors for you, and that's why also you gotta be able to open doors for others.
Yes.
You know, that's what I'm saying now, that a lot of people talk like they do, but then they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing about networking, it depends on the type of networking event you go, because I hate the ones where people are all stuffy and pontificating, like, oh, what are you building right now? Like, I that stuff is just not pleasant. I've found the best ones I've found are, like, actually parties. Like, when you're having a good time and people, let go of that, buttoned up element of themselves, and they start talking freely. They might even share, like, their issues, what's going on, and they're like, okay, this is actually something you guys can actually level with one another a little bit better. So, when I go to those ones and it's just dry and stuffy, sure, I'll talk to people, but everybody kind of knows what you're there for. You get a bunch of business cards and you hit them up, and you got to follow up and the follow through and all that stuff. And I always say when you follow up, it's that next, their communication back to you. That's when you know you have something going. But most times when it's party, you guys can have a relationship based on an experience together. And it's like, hey, that night in Miami, and this had this and this, and then you see what happened on the backside of it. So I'm more in favor of that stuff, because that's where I found with me things get done rather than just like going to
your point, and this is what I kind of learned through our community with access mode. It's like depth of relationship is actually what helps you win, right? So when I was with you all day in, day out, I was like, okay, I forgot about that being on COVID, and you just kind of you can get on a Zoom call, don't really have to talk to them about it. You don't really have those deep conversations outside of your real friendships. But when you have those depth of relationship, then it's nothing for me to be like, oh yeah, Donavan, I got you tomorrow, or Caleb, I got this situation. So like when you go to those networking events, that's just like kind of what Kris is saying. It's very high overview. Like, you know, it might be a good chance for someone to see you as like see your face, but as far as those deep connections, you got to basically either Kris said have those experiences that collect with them.
Well, and even to your point, like, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg met Sean Parker at a party, right?
Exactly.
You know, and it's stuff like that. Like and Sean Parker was a very instrumental person to help Facebook to get to where they were. In fact, if it wasn't for Sean Parker, Mark would have still stayed in the East Coast, which is where he originated, and stayed there, and he wouldn't have went to the West Coast.
The Social Network's one of my favorite movies.
I know. Thank you for explaining that movie for
us. so I'm
wait
just
till you learn about the Winkle Top.
so I'm just saying, like, you know, networking is super important. And yeah, you just never. And there's even another term. It's called the network effect, right? So it is all about those networks that could really help your business scale even.
Yeah.